Hey, Kay.
Hey, Trish, we got a big day today.
Oh, one of our favorite people. Y'all, welcome to What I Know So Far. I'm Trish Suhr along with the gorgeous Karen Mills.
And we have on our show today, we say he's hilarious, but it's our friend Hugh Howser. So funny.
So funny. Y'all, not only is he's one of those people that just doesn't say no to the things that light him on fire. And this conversation is exactly that. He's a celebrity event planner to all the stars. He is one of the funniest people we know personally, but is now doing stand up. And we're so tickled about it because he's just that good. And we are so excited to share what our friendship is with y'all because he's so fun and just what a conversation. What
Yes.
a
You,
conversation.
you will laugh today when
Yeah,
you
and
hear
just-
Hugh's stories.
I was about to say we laugh so hard in this, we're apologizing up front. Because there's a lot of cackling. So get into it with us, cackle with us. And please, if you're not already, please take a minute to rate, subscribe, review. Let us know who you want us to have on the show. We would love to know and enjoy this hilarious conversation with the amazing Hugh Howser.
You're gonna be just who you are. You're gonna be just who you are. Don't let them sway you. No one can change you. You're gonna be just who you are.
Just a hair.
Just a hair. I think that's what we'll have to call this episode, ladies and
Just a
gentlemen.
hair.
Hugh Howser.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Listen.
Hi, beauties.
We love you.
Hi.
Hi, Hugh.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on with Kay and I because this means so much. And for all the people in the world, if you're outside of Greater Nashville in the state of Tennessee, you don't have the privilege, but you will soon, to love Hugh Howser like we do. So this is one of our dear friends. You have so many, I was about to say titles, but you are like you're an entrepreneur, you're an amazing
Yes.
comedian, and party planner to the stars. I'll go ahead and say that
Yes.
part, which name me one comedian that has that title. I'll wait.
The access this man has.
This man can spill more tea. In a great way, though. You do it with like such class and grace that he keeps you guessing. You should really have your own.
Are you
podcast.
talking about the same person?
I know some stuff. I know
You
some
know
stuff.
things. You know some things. It also
I have
keeps
had to
you-
sign my life away though most of the time.
Me too. I've signed NDAs so thick it makes
Yes.
the Bible look like a leaflet.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Hugh is an event planner to the stars, and but NDAs will keep him zipped up.
I've got my own NDA for
There we go. 140.
We'll get it.
Do Not Disturb is on. I don't know how they're getting your calls.
You're that
I'm about to just turn it off.
like done.
Oh,
not
I'm
there.
so sorry.
Honey, don't be sorry. Are you kidding me? This is the excitement of you being in demand all the way around. So we have so much to cover.
Yeah, it was
because-
Gwyneth Paltrow that was calling.
Stop it right now. I'd be so
So we're
tickled.
busy, very busy, very busy.
I mean, listen, y'all. If you've ever wondered what it was like, I think what's cool about you, Hugh, is you just whatever makes you feel joyful, you say yes to, and that's
Yes.
such an inspiration to so many people because you're one of those people that are naturally funny that maybe a lot of people might think they're funny, but they don't have the stage presence or the gift to get up in front of people. And you were like, it's who I am. It's what I do. And then you took that step. I want to talk about that, don't you, Kay? Because we're lucky enough to know you in real life.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm funny. I could do that. And I think you have really done an amazing job of realizing what it takes and doing the work.
Well, and looking back at it, y'all would have died if you'd really. Well, Karen knows how it all began and how pitiful it was. But I thought I was so funny, and I had so much to say, and that's
Walk us
part of
through
the
that.
that's part of the problem. And in fact, it wasn't until recently that a friend of mine started comedy, just trying it to see if they, I think I inspired them a little bit, and then they had the same situation that I did in which they had so much to say that they were so rushing through their jokes and didn't, but I had no training. I was just funny. And so I didn't really truly, I just went up there out of fear and did it. And so I gave him some pointers the other day that would have killed for somebody to have given me. I didn't have any. And no one really knows until till your name is called and that light goes on. Nobody really knows what's going on in your mind. And Karen and I talk about this all the time. If anybody knew what was going on in our minds, and there's this whole thing that happens backstage at a comedy club, we're talking about, I don't even know, we could be talking about groceries or well, who we saw at the grocery store or whatever. And then all of a sudden we enter this silent zone where we're both thinking about why we're really here. And
Yeah.
all of a
Yes.
sudden you're like, wait, and everybody goes silent, and there's pacers, and there's people that sit still, and there's people that
There's
walk in
writers.
circle, and the people that write, and people have
Yeah.
little notes. Everybody's doing things on their phone. I'm old school and I've
I
got
write
wonderful
too.
penmanship. And so I like to see I can also tell by the way I've written it, like how, like you give yourself clues or whatever. So
Yes.
I wish somebody had told me that I didn't really have to rush through it as bad as, I mean, I should have known that, but you don't really know till you go out there. So I never told anybody I was doing it. I did it all by myself originally.
Well,
And
talk
then
us
of
through
course,
that. So when
so
you
I,
said,
so
I'm
I
going to
would,
go on stage, what was that?
well, Leanne sort of inspired me. Leanne Morgan, of course, inspired me, but I would go, there's an underground society of comedians in Nashville. And so I figured all that out and investigated that, like literally did a drive by like my grandmother would do if she was going to a party and didn't know where it was. I just
Yeah.
drove by and thought, is this it?
Yeah.
Let me see how the landscaping is of
And is
of
there
this venue.
parking?
Yeah, where can I what because it'd be 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Hillsborough Village, which is down by Vanderbilt University, and it would be Vanderbilt parents eating tapas with crossbody purses on, and me talking about my grandparents. I mean, it was a testament. But I
Yeah.
got laughs, and I knew that's kind of how I built it. And I knew right there, like, surely if this man right here with a croaky on and is with his wife, they're, sick of each other. So they're thrilled to see me, something different. And I have to talk about tuition. They can just sit and talk to me. And so that's how it's, and I never told anybody I was doing it. Never told my parents, never told anybody. And then finally I started doing it. Then I would do the Monday night thing at Zany's and became friends with them. And then it became sort of built a name there for myself on those Monday nights. And it used to be called, it's called New Material Monday. And they started calling it Hugh Material Monday because I was having a ball and I could sell it. I could sell tickets because everybody in my social group was dying to get out and do
Yeah.
something,
Especially on a Monday, honey.
and a Monday night, just, mindless entertainment, So, and then from there I got a residency, and then that's how it all started. But that sounds really fast, but it was 6 years. It took a long time. I mean, 4 years seriously, 6 years total. And then here we are. And I didn't I didn't really know I didn't really have any I didn't really get any feedback. They would just say, "Well, see you next week." I'm like, "No, no, no. I need to know, was that good?" Like nobody in this world will tell you you're good and that was a tip somebody gave me that said, "Just get ready. Nobody's going to tell you and you're good because nobody knows." No, and everybody's so worried about their own act that they're not.
Yeah. And comics are not audiences.
No.
Right.
A comic can think you've just done the funniest thing ever and won't laugh and go, that's great, that'll work. And not a lick of laughter.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And a new psychology issue that I'm having now is you can have the best night you've ever had in your life. You felt like you killed it. You walk off stage, you have never felt, and not one person says, "Great, great,
Oh
great
yeah.
job."
You have to get yourself through that. That's a
And
that's
then
a
you can have a
toughie.
night where you feel like it was the worst you've ever had in the history of comedy, and you're quitting tomorrow, and you're just, this is enough. You can't sleep. You remember one man had his arms crossed, another woman was picking her nose, nobody was paying attention, people went to the bathroom, and you get more praise than you've ever got. That was it's so bizarre.
It's so
It happens.
unpredictable.
It's
It's
so
it's
crazy.
learning every time, I think, is what's so great about comedy is for me, no matter how well you know it, or I used to say you could text that set in from a rehab facility. Like it doesn't matter how well you know the material.
Right.
There are nights, every night it's a different side of the Rubik's Cube. So you don't ever really get the chance to get comfortable. Even when you found your audience, even when,
Mm-hmm.
there are nights that you're like, gosh, you're always having to figure it out, which I think is also a cool part of comedy as
And
well.
I
Well,
always
and
compare it.
keeps
Go
us
ahead.
on. No, just keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, and I always compare it to golf. I mean, just when you're ready to quit, you'll have the best game you've ever had, and just when you think you've got it figured out, you'll completely want to throw
Blow
your
it.
clubs in the creek. So it's the same thing.
It is. I think it's the forever. It is, Karen. It's golf. I've never really thought of that.
It's golf. And my whole family is so sporty, and they gave birth to me. And they're so sporty, and they're all, looking at their watches and checking ESPN during my shows, mostly. And everybody's, ready to get to the ball field. And what I'm doing is an Olympic sport. I hate to tell them, but what I'm
They
up
don't
there
understand.
because I have a comedy hangover every single time. Even if, like, even Karen and I just played Huntsville, I drove home like,
Yeah, bless your heart. I know you did.
oh my gosh, just took everything out of me. And my tongue is always stuck to the roof of my mouth on the way home. And I'm just barely hanging on. What I was going to tell you the other night, speaking of what we're talking about, different audiences and crazy experiences. And Karen has a million experiences, I know, because I wish she'd just sit down and have her own podcast and just tell us about green
Believe
room
me.
experiences. Yeah. And the woman with the crock pot, we'll have to talk about that in a minute. You probably already
Oh,
talked
Oh
about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious. I thought I was going to die. Well, the other night I had to play the Nate Bargatze night, which is a heterosexual, straightest, toughest, roughest, everybody loves a hoka, and
yeah.
everybody's
A
in a,
hoka, a piece of plaid, and a
and
hunk of beef. Let's go
oh,
get the meat sweats. I know the crowd.
correct. Yeah, this is the men. And he's like our Elvis, and so we've got a whole dressing room, a whole green room. It looked like I was walking into my high school locker room, and I looked like somebody's aunt. And I know they thought, Bernice, is that Aunt Bernice? Is she coming to visit us? So I walked in scared to death, and I looked around and I shook everybody's hand. And I said, I'm Hugh Howser, and it's over. And it's so wonderful knowing everybody, but I'm not on the show tonight. I just came by to say hello to the staff. I mean, I thought I was going to die. Well, this just goes to show you have no idea. And I'm not tooting my own horn or anything. I had no idea what to expect. Y'all cannot, my mind was like a pancake flipping in the back, going, can I pull a smoke alarm? Like, how can this building burn? How can we get these people out
Get
of
out of
here?
here.
How will I ever go on stage? These people are huge comics. Everybody in the world was in there. And all just dudes talking about the spread and the spread. And I was like, mayonnaise. I didn't know what spreads were. I mean, I knew everybody's betting on games and nobody's, and then there was one guy that was younger, and he was nervous, and he was just talking like biting me. He was so close to me, talking to me, scared to death to go on. And I was, and then and then I brought the house down. I went out and brought the house down, and I have no idea,
I was gonna say,
Karen,
did you record
what
it?
I
Do you know what you
said.
said?
No,
Yeah,
it's recorded, but I have
thought-
no. I knew. When I walked out, I saw the crowd, and I thought, "Oh, I went to high school with all y'all." In my mind, I know, I know what's happening in here, and I thought they're going to burn me. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I brought the house down, and I got standing ovation. People screamed. I did peek out and think, did anybody bring a wife? I hope somebody brought their girlfriend or somebody that's seen.
I need some estrogen in that room.
yeah,
I
yeah.
need somebody that's got drapery. But
It turned
but you
out-
never know. It turned out great, and people were screaming, and I walked back and thought, "Good luck, everybody." I just fell down. I thought, "Hope it works out for y'all," because I don't know
Don't you
how.
love that? Don't you
Yeah.
love when those moments surprise you
Yeah.
on stage? I
Yeah.
know. I just did I call it the cool kid room in here in LA. It's called Dynasty Typewriter. And it's where all the alternative comics go. And when people are like, what's alternative? I'm like, "But just like music, comedy, we have the same thing. You have some alt emo comedians, and it doesn't mean they're bad. They just do it differently, right? They
But
just
purple
do it
hair.
differently.
Yeah.
Purple hair, things are different, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I got invited to do a show at Dynasty Typewriter. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm up here on stage with like Patton Oswalt. Like these are like the old school I'm like, I tell
Yeah.
stories about my Mimo, and my mom and her
Right.
tiara. And I'm going, oh, I'm going to vomit. Same thing, Hugh. It's the same. It's just interesting because it does always, in situations that it isn't just your show and you're on a lineup with other talent who you're not taking away an ounce of their talent, but you're going, well, this audience received me. Like,
Right.
are they going to be like, is she lost? Is she part of the staff? You know,
Right.
like
Right.
that's how I felt. And I got up there and the show was so lovely. And the room was, I'm going to venture to say 85% lesbian. And I was like, will they enjoy me? Because I'm about to talk about a tiara and my little mama. And I was ready to throw up. And I was like, this is not going to go well because I'm not talking about a Chaco or a Tiva or a Subaru. Like, I
Right.
was going real. And they're my people. And they loved me as much as I loved them. And I was like, I was a Judge Judy. Like, it got me upset because I thought, Trish, you are one bad marriage away from being on this team. Love these ladies.
Well, not to mention the fact they all got mamas. They're probably with the tiaras and everything. I
Well,
mean, you don't have to relate
Right.
to them based on your own
Not all
attire.
about tire pressure.
Yeah, it's not
it's
all
not
about
all
Home
about time.
Depot and
It's not.
Tevas. It's about whatever,
Well,
their extended family and their experiences are different than that.
Kay, you're right. And can I tell you that two of my girlfriends that came, not important that they're lesbians, but I'm telling you this to say I've helped them DIY a couple things at their house. And they were like, are you kidding me? That was your target audience. Are you kidding? Like, I don't know anybody in this room that loves a power tool more
Yeah,
than
more
you.
than you. That's right. More, you sure love it more than me.
I just
See?
pick up the phone and call somebody, and
Call me, boo. If we
I
were
have people
closer, I'd
change
be
out
over
my air filters. I'm like, I don't know, change it,
there.
change
Stop.
that. Yeah,
Meanwhile,
no,
I get lit on fire when the alarm on my phone goes off because I have an alarm every 30 days because I have pets to change my air filter. My husband's like, I put an alarm on my phone and I even write in a Sharpie on the air
filter
filter.
day.
I do.
Can we say type A? Can we just say that?
Oh my gosh.
So listen, I know there's things that we sit in prejudgment of an audience, but I realize I've prejudged myself and not given myself the credit that I could have some fun with that. And I think that's what gets really
Plus,
cool.
we're all have human experiences aside from anything to do with sexuality. I
That's a
mean,
damn
Totally.
truth. That's the truth.
that's
Thank
such
God.
a small, yes, thank God is right. That's such a small, tiny part of our existence.
Right.
That's so true. See, and we
Yes.
need to we were lucky enough, y'all. I've been trying to get Fallon to get me Fallon from the Zanies for people that don't know the inside baseball of the Zanies Club in Nashville to send me. I never got the tape of the show that we all did together, and I know it was right after we did it right before the Nashville Comedy Festival, so they've been running
Yes.
around with their heads chopped off. But they recorded that night, and I so desperately wanted to get that whole set because y'all were
That was such a
unbelievable.
fun night.
It was a
Oh,
fun
if
night.
you could send the three of us on the road together, I'd be in a ditch weekly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just the energy, the audience, everyone was like, where's this and where can I watch it? Because it was just
Well,
good
and your
juju.
audience, I mean, they were there for you, but your audience was just a great audience for us as well. So,
We
Well,
felt like the
thank you.
Mandrells.
We did. We were really the Mandrells. We could be
We
out at
were.
Fontenelle doing a
We
little show.
were. I look like y'all's aunt, the old aunt.
the
Can I tell
sister,
you, that's what Jace, my husband's been saying. He just turned 60, and he's lucky enough at 60 years old to have a full head of hair. And he doesn't color his hair, and that's all his hair, which, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But he has realized, because I've joked about it for years, that any old rocker that's still lucky enough to have their own hair suddenly looks like somebody's Aunt Martha real
Yes.
quick. And you're like,
Yes.
well,
what happened? Like,
Yes.
when did the old rocker, hip, sexy turn into, hey, pass the jello salad? It's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
And he looked at me and goes, I have to go get this cut. And I said, you do, because you're getting it got real full real quick. And it's not like Wayne Newton cool. And it's not like Keith Richards cool. It goes to, oh, Agnes, are you getting a blowout? Like it.
Well, all the little boys today, all the teenage kids, all look like Nancy Reagan today. They all have
What
the
is
little
that?
hairdos. I don't know. I saw a whole car full of them, like a mom picking up these kids. I thought she's picked up a little church group, and they're all headed. And I said, no, those are teenage football players, and they've all got little page boy and little
Dorothy,
dudes.
I said to Jace, I told my husband, I go, why is that little boy have a Dorothy Hamill haircut the other day?
And I
He
can't
goes,
talk about hair, but I've made a career out of it. But I'm saying those dudes
let me
they don't
say,
have anything on me.
I will tell you, I'm not mad at you for that. We just had that conversation because we saw some cute, just like same thing. It was a little Mini Cooper stacked full of little Malibu surfer children, and I go, oh, and I thought it was young people. I'm sorry, like a young person and like her mamaw in the car because the girl driving had long hair, and I go, oh, must be her little mamaw, and she's showing her around. Like I'd already made a whole narrative. It was her and three teenage boys with Dorothy Hamill haircuts. They looked like little Lord Fauntleroy. And I was like, what is happening?
I know. They look like first ladies. They all look like little first ladies. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. A whole car. I was at a stoplight, and I thought, those are men.
Oh, Hugh, I'm glad it's an East Coast, like it's also a Southern / West Coast problem because I
Yeah.
thought, oh, they're just doing extra because,
And they wear their baseball caps, which make it flip out and
flip
stay. And
out.
then when they remove the baseball cap, it stays, and
It
they all
stays.
have permanent sombreros, like permanent.
This, I thought
That's
I
the
was the
style.
only one noticing this, and this makes me feel so much better.
And kids wear pajama pants to everything and
Wow, when did that become
Crocs.
acceptable? Stop it. This is
Restaurant, like
why,
to nice restaurants, like really
yes,
nice restaurant, and like really like, and their parents are are so formally dressed, and then they're
when
like
did
they
that
just got out of
happen?
bed. I don't know. It's like I remember dressing like that, studying for an exam or something, but not at dinner with your parents.
I'd have got my, as my mom would have said, my butt wore out if I thought about stepping out of the house looking like I was, going to bed.
Right. We
There's
had to
no
dress
chance.
up to go to the airport.
Yeah.
We had to dress
Yeah.
up to go on
To
planes,
fly,
like dress up.
100%.
I still try to. Now, the only time I don't on travel is when I'm coming back. Nobody asked this, but when I'm coming back on a Sunday, I'm fine to be casual on a Sunday.
What does casual
Okay,
Hugh look like?
casual. Well, that's why I'll have a ball cap on and I look like Reba from behind, but I'm completely hidden. On a Sunday coming back, I'm fine to be casual. Sundays at home, obviously. I just feel like I have done this all week,
Yeah.
and I have earned a moment
Preach on that.
without
Go
a
ahead.
hot roller.
Oh,
What is your downtime? What does downtime Hugh when we're not around look like? I love without a hot roller. Are you in
oh
that?
well,
Downtime.
and he was telling me about one time he was running late. Was that to Huntsville? And he just flew out the house and still had rollers in his hair. I said, you need to put that on video. You leaving the house with
Yeah,
rollers.
Well,
please
or
do.
just walk straight on stage with them on and think, I've had a day. I have been through it. Um, no, I don't really use rollers, but I do use a round brush.
I was going to say
Um,
that's a good round brush flip. Anybody with any hair sense knows that, and you get good height to your hair. You
thanks,
really do.
thanks, Carol. I have one time my best friend Jody, who says 9 words a day, he and I were on a trip, and I was blow drying my hair, or he knocked on my door or whatever, and he watched the whole process. I mean, he's seen me do it at the salon before or whatever. He goes, Lord, I'd be out of a job if my women clients, female clients, knew how to work a round brush. He's like, I don't know how you don't have carpal tunnel. I could go and flip and
You
silence.
you need to do a get ready with me.
I do,
If,
where people can see the
please,
technique.
because you're cheating a whole lot of people, and I'd love a Hugh hack. You need to start doing. Listen, don't anybody steal this content. I'm a social media marketing person.
I'll
You
give
need to
you a
start
Hugh.
doing
I'll give
Hugh
you a
hack.
Hugh hack. Yeah,
And
actually, my girlfriends ask me all the time. They're like, "Now, how do you get that side to do that? Because mine curls in. I want it to go out." I said, "Well, Lord, you go reverse." And they were like, "What?" I said, "Well, it's all trial and error." I did that in my college dorm, trying to figure that out. Can you? And I had the biggest football player looking roommate, and there I was. I look like back then. I probably look like Bruce Jenner back then. Um, or I look
did you
like
have a
Bruce or
haircut?
Caitlin? Bruce or Caitlin?
Bruce. I thought I looked like Bruce back then, and I was feathering, and he was coming in with had a girlfriend, whatever, and I was feathering.
Well, and his Jody, he, Jody is a hairdresser to the stars.
Yes.
Okay, well let's get into some not spilling tea, but I want to ask some Hugh
Yeah.
questions that only I feel like Hugh could answer.
Yeah.
Are there events? I don't care. You don't have to give any celebrity names. I'm just saying, are there people that are such, as my grandmother would say, PETAs, pain in the ass? Are there any PETA people that you make an outrageous number so you don't have to take care of them? Like, do you do something nutty like that where they're like, we want you to do my daughter's 13th birthday, and you're like, that'll be $2 million, like, so you just don't have to deal with them?
No, I honestly, I'm not just saying this. I have been, and I don't equate this to anything, but I do make it fun. I do make the whole thing fun. And so I have never had like, I mean, I've had doozies. Don't get me wrong. I have had doozy situations, but I can usually, with humor, get out of some of it because at the end of the day, it is a joyful occasion. And the only reason we're having any problem is not because of me. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Preach
because
on that.
that's my
Yeah.
only, it's my job. So, like, I couldn't cause the problem. You
What's your
see?
favorite type of event? Like, of any event, if you had a druther, anybody said you get to do only these, what's your favorite
Well,
for you?
honestly, birthdays are great because they're not as emotional and not as, the
The stakes
timeline's
aren't
not
as
as
high.
crucial. The stakes aren't as high. They're not, you're
You
signing
do
your life
more.
away.
You do more weddings than anything, though, right?
More weddings than anything. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And what's been
And
your doozy of a wedding? Like somebody said, we're going to do, like, it just seemed so outrageous that you were like, is that what we're doing? Like, have you had one of those where they're like, alpacas are going to be there to
every
greet people
single
with
one, every single one. Because our weddings are not just weddings. They're not, mince and punch. Our
yeah,
weddings are
events?
they're productions, and so and they're big installations, and they take months to load in, and they're all over the country, all over the world. We've gone everywhere. We've gone out of the country. We've gone to probably every state now. This is 21 years of weddings, 21, and I know I look like a
I was going
pup,
to say, you don't look like you've been doing it for five.
but I am exhausted. But no, I and also talk about material. Talk
Yeah.
I
about
bet.
material for a lifetime. And all the clients now are so funny because they come to shows. I have brides from 20 years ago that are in the audiences, and they've got 100 kids now. And so I've even done my favorites when they get divorced because I just do the next wedding. So I have no problem. I have no problem. And then the NDAs, like the big celebs and all that, they're actually not as they're more hands off. So they're not really that bad because they don't want to do anything. But they don't want to
Sure.
do anything. They just want it handled. And
Yeah.
those are the dream clients that truly trust you because you have to trust us. I can't work with you if you don't trust us. And kind of check on you all the time because I'm crazy. So if you checked on me, you'd think we're never getting married.
This will not happen.
This is never going to happen, but it has to happen because that's the only reason I'm here. So if you think about it, the stress really comes. I always when I hear these stories, I always take the side of the planner because I'm like, Lord knows there is a story that we don't know. There is more to this. Unless the planner is just terrible, has never ever done it's some, hurricane of a situation. But 9 times out of 10, I hate to say, but it is client related.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite? Again, you don't have to name the person, but what's been for you, like if you're doing the top three events you've ever done, the one that just stood out for you that you were not only were you proud of it, but that from top to bottom, and I'm sure you've got more than five, but if just
Yes,
something for you that,
there's so many. Well, I always like a tinted wedding at home. So like they're so custom, they're so personable. So I've done, you know, I don't even know 300 in my lifetime that are, memorable. Those are that's the way I guess I should narrow it down because
so
the type of
stylistically, a
wedding.
tinted at home is your
Tenant
favorite.
at home, it's custom. We can make it exactly what you want, all that. It's very expensive and you're basically building a house, but it's so fun and it's all yours and it's
Yeah, and everything you're
we can really,
imagining.
yeah, and you don't feel like you've already been to this wedding. That's the worst part of wedding planning for me as a designer because I really am on the design side. I have a business partner, Kate, who does all the logistics and billing, and she's scary and nobody wants to talk to her because it's all she talks about the money and she's like the principal, and I'm like, you're crushing the bride's dreams, and she's not listening, and she's like, we have somebody has to keep us in line, and because you know budgets are all we talk about. And so we kind of try to get it. So what I was going to say is the worst thing you can say for a designer is to say, I've already been to this wedding.
Oh
Like you've
yeah.
already felt like you've already done it. Because that's really easy for me to say because I do them every Saturday. So I'm like, ooh, like I can walk through this country club blindfolded and cut the cake. I know where the cake is. So it's fun to change it up for me. So I will pride myself in all these years of all the weddings being so different. You can see on the website, you can see on Instagram, all mine are so personal, personalized towards the bride. They're all custom. So I try to make them all so different because that's the worst feeling. It's like, I've already been to this wedding. Then the guests, because there's professional guests out there that go to weddings all the time.
Lord, for a long season, I felt like one.
Uh
When there's
huh.
a season in your life that you're like, oh, it's wedding season, and you're not a
Yeah.
professional
Yeah.
anything in weddings. That was me. I was a bridesmaid 26 times. I used to joke I was the original 27 dresses. True story. Every time
Whoa.
when it was wedding season, Hugh, I would get nauseous because I thought, oh my God. Because as a bridesmaid,
And
and
that's a
this is
fortune for you.
that's what I was about to say. You're being handed a bill.
Yeah.
You're basically saying to your friend, I love you so much. Will you spend 5 grand on me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like you like that. Like, can
Right.
I just write you a
I want to
check?
break up.
Yeah, I don't, this feels
Right. It's
very
over.
heavy. Yeah. Can
Yeah.
I just get you something? I'll get you
You
a gift
care if
card.
we wear navy, this old
Yeah.
navy dress.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was thinking about a gravy boat.
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel? It was exhausting. I was
I
thinking
love
about
a
a
gravy
gravy
boat.
boat. I love a
That's
gravy
so
boat.
good. I love a gravy boat.
Because you know
I've
what?
got
Nobody wears
3.
china. Can we also talk about that too? Do people still bring gifts to weddings? I stopped that years
It's
ago,
my
but that's
worst nightmare.
why do
I
people
have a
do
thing
it?
called Hues and Don'ts, and that's on the don'ts.
Okay, give me a hue. What's a hue? What does a hue do? A hue wedding do? A
What is
big
a
hue do?
hue? A
A
hue
hue. Give me
do is, well, if it's at home, make sure, or if it's in a tent, make sure it's air conditioned to 68 degrees. So it has to be cool. That's a
preach on
hue.
that.
That's a big hue. No gifts at weddings. Nobody wants to haul a Cuisinart no bride wants to deal with a Cuisinart
KitchenAid. Yeah.
up a hill and put it in their aunt's car. But it's always an elderly person that goes, "Is there a gift table?" And people walk into weddings and have they've never been. So it's
Been
the
to
fun.
one.
No, to
Any
they've
event.
never left the house. They walk in, they go, "Can we eat?" And I'm like, "I hope so." And they're like, "Can we go to the bathroom?" I said, "I really hope so." I mean, nobody knows how to do anything when they first walk in a wedding.
It's
Grown
true.
adults, they could be Nobel Peace Prize winning authors and say, "Do we sit?" Nobody
It's
knows how to
true.
do anything at a wedding. And if they and people are fascinated by planners, and they're always fascinated by me because I do stand out at weddings. They usually think I'm the
Entertainment.
mother of the bride. Oh yeah, or I'm yes. Or like if I go to a baseball game, I was
Mother
going
of
to
God.
mother of the bride. Or if I go to my nephew's baseball game, I think everybody thinks I'm about to sing the anthem. I think people think I'm about to sing the anthem. They're like, that must be one of those. Is that one of those Oak Ridge boys?
Oh, good boy, we are so tickled. I
Is
love
that one of those?
Alabama.
I think that's one of those
No,
old
that's the
country stars.
Statler. That's the
It's
Statler.
Statler.
Yeah,
Now I haven't seen Ronnie Millsap in a minute because he's not
there
with us.
he is. There he
There he
is, right
is.
there. I knew he got kids at this school. I didn't know they had
Yeah.
kids.
I knew he's got kids at that school.
And he doesn't even realize they've changed his hair color.
Right.
Listen, let me ask you because
Yeah.
I've got so many questions. I've got so many questions, Hugh.
Right.
What made you, of all the things in the world, do event planning? Of all the things,
Well, it's the
'cause you are
weirdest thing. I've
you're
had
very
every job.
talented.
I have had every job in the free world. So has Karen. She's had a lot of jobs too. I've had
Oh, it's always Trish.
I've had every job in the world. I've sold pharmaceuticals. I was a student. I was a substitute teacher, which I loved. I would have been a teacher probably, and then because I could perform all day, we wouldn't learn a thing. But I love all those supplies and my handwriting, and we
In my
knit.
handwriting.
We would just knit, and I don't even know what we would do. We wouldn't get a thing done. And I just want to be in the teacher's lounge. I am fascinated to death about a faculty lounge at a school.
I've always been
They've
mystified
always
by the
got brownies. There's
I was
always a
gonna say
brownie.
communal food. They have
Yeah.
this weird like buffet that never ends in a faculty lounge, and I've
It,
always
n-
been mystified.
it never ends, and you can't, and no one's ever allowed in there.
No.
And so and there's Xerox machines, and
Yes.
oh, there's so much going on in there. Mail, there's so much mail, and there's I don't even know. So I went the other day to my kindergarten teacher's retirement party. She's finally retired. She came on the Mayflower, and she's finally retiring. And I thought, what are you going to do with all this yarn? She had all these things of yarn and string, and I said, do you take all that with you when you retire? Like, what are you going to do with 700 feet of purple yarn and crepe paper? What are we going to do with all this crepe paper?
I
Uh,
love that you went to that, though. How
yeah,
sweet.
bawled, cried. We all cried and hugged and cried. You could have just snapped her. She's like a leaf. She's so little now.
Oh,
Loved
Well,
her. I know, sweet. And
well,
I love it. I love a teacher. I love a teacher in a T-link skirt. Go ahead.
and there's nothing more special than a favorite teacher. That
Oh,
memory of
Nothing.
a favorite teacher. I
Nothing.
mean, I we
They
all
teach
have
us
one.
everything we ever knew, and also I don't know if y'all are like this, but as performers, don't you ever go back and think about things that happened at school? Like they kind of set the tone for stage presence, and
Yeah.
without question. My
yeah,
kindergarten teacher, Miss Baker, because I learned to read when I was 3. My family was like, she's the only grandchild. So I got all this attention. They taught me to read young. So I go
yeah.
into kindergarten and I could read. None of these kids could read. And I was like, what do you mean? And Miss Baker would let me read to the class and I thought, honey, I thought I was a marquee talent. I mean, I thought I was Lily Tomlin. I thought I
Right.
was, and so I would turn that book and go look at the
Uh,
pictures and show everybody. And she let
Your
me on my
Vanna
first
White.
stage. Yeah, I mean, really, if you think about it, Miss Baker was like, "Go, girl,"
mhm.
and I got a Mr. Microphone. Do y'all remember that thing?
Mm-hmm.
The
Do
Mr.
I? Of
Microphone.
course. I've got one still somewhere.
And I was allowed to bring it in and show it for show and tell and turn it on and show everybody. And I look back and think Mrs. Baker was the one that let me do my first 5-minute set. Really,
Oh,
that was
Miss
my first open
Baker.
mic. Miss Baker. And I
And I
think
remember
about her.
seeing a teacher, like seeing teachers in the grocery store, and it'd be like
Oh,
I know.
in regular street clothes,
yeah,
you'd be like,
civilian
"This is
wear.
the weirdest thing." It's like
You eat
seeing Meryl
food.
Streep. It was like seeing
Yeah.
Meryl Streep. You'd be like, "I cannot believe you own a kid."
Yeah.
I had a teacher in high school that, and even though I love my hometown and all that, she was leaving Bradley High School where I went to school, and I'm like, why are you leaving? She was moving to Texas, and she said, well, she taught there like 3 years, and she said, well, I've done this, and now I'm going to go and do something else and have a different experience. And I remember having a moment where I'm like, you mean you can go do something else? You don't.
Right.
I mean, and
Right.
it made a difference in me thinking that I could, end up going to Atlanta and starting comedy there, and me realizing that you don't have to just stay and repeat everything everybody before you has done.
Isn't
Right.
that
And it was a
fabulous?
huge impact on me. I mean, it's such a minor thing, but I think people don't realize sometimes those little nuggets that you can get from a teacher that really do, because you look at them as like, well, they know more than anybody. And
Oh,
so if they said
scared to
it,
death. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
like whatever they say. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's a whole nother psychology too, about how kids are. It's all different now. I was scared to death of my teachers. Like I
Terrified.
would terrified,
uh,
terrified.
some I was
Yeah, some you
terrified.
Terrified.
love, but you also thought they were this like endless fountain of knowledge. Like there was
Right.
no
Yes.
chance
Right.
that they weren't the brightest. Didn't matter what grade, didn't matter. I was like, they're the
Right.
bright. You had some that were a little dim, but you're like, they're fine. They're nice.
But
You know,
they
but
and they and they might be coming apart in the faculty lounge, but
Oh,
we never knew it.
had no idea. Or I
No
think
idea.
I looking back at it, you think about your age, and you're like, they were my age when I was whatever, and they were teaching me, and I know they were hungover.
yeah.
Like looking back at it, I realized what this guy was going through. He was wild and out all the time. I didn't realize it, back then. You would never know because I was a Christian, or I am, and it was a Christian school, and we didn't know what was going on outside. And they were having a night. And then
Yeah.
imagine having to come into school and be like,
And try to fake
"Let's
that.
talk about the War of 1812." I mean, I would die.
Or on the backside of Bad Boone's Farm or a bad parent-teacher conference where they're like, "I am
Uh-huh.
sideways."
Right. Right.
I often wonder now how many teachers have White Claw in their Yetis just or Stanley Cups just trying to get through the day.
Oh, well, nowadays, especially because I feel like they're, you know, I think it's a lot more serious now, the discipline situation. We were all so scared of them,
Yeah.
that we didn't really do, we snuck around. We were my group was, we were not going to get in trouble because we were so scared. Nowadays, I think they're just more defiant, it seems like.
Defiant.
And
That's
trying to deal with phone situations, I can't imagine trying to
Oh,
teach and deal with that. I
oh,
mean, I mean, it's hard enough to be in a comedy club and not see somebody looking over at their phone. It
I
just,
know. The other night, the comedy club, you have to use your phone to order the food.
nuh-uh.
I thought that was the craziest thing. Everybody was on their
crazy.
phones and ordering cheese sticks and saying, "I
Oh,
want a strawberry lemonade." No, I got the wrong one. That's lime, and pushing buttons. And I know. And then like a little woman walks out and goes, "Do you have the cheese stick?" Drop it and walks off.
oh Lord. They basically got you working at a Sonic while you're at a
Yeah, they're
show.
using it through
Yeah.
their phone. Yeah, so everybody's on their phone. It's very complicated. I think it's very distracting too.
Oh, for sure at a club.
Well,
That's no
and
good.
I was just in Indianapolis, and when the checks drop, used to checks would drop, people go away, they pick up the credit card, they bring it back, and of course it without fail, no matter who you are, the second the audience starts doing math, you might as well talk about.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
forget
that's
Right.
it,
right.
it's over
Right.
until that's done.
Right.
But they were coming around with iPads, and they would. Each
Check
person
them
then would
out.
have to check them out on their iPad during the comedy show. It seemed like it went on for 20 minutes.
See,
Oh,
I understand the efficiency from a restaurant perspective, but from a entertainment perspective, that you
Man.
couldn't do anything more distracting. Like you just said, let's do individual math while they're trying to
mm-hmm.
watch the end of the show. And
Mm-hmm.
your closer
Mm-hmm.
might as well be your taxes.
I know it. I know it. You can talk about it. I mean, I always try to have a bit that is a throwaway bit anyway when I see the checks come because
Same.
nobody's going to listen anyways.
You make me hear it.
Same.
I
I've
know.
learned. I've since learned. I used to be like, here's the
I'm
big closer.
pregnant. Yeah.
There's been something I've been wanting to tell you guys for a
Yeah.
long time. See if anybody picks this up.
Oh,
Wait, I
so
think we
funny.
got off topic. Did we get how you got into planning?
Oh,
Because
I
you've
don't
had every
even know.
job.
Oh
How
yeah,
you
right.
were
So
like
I
the
had every
cadet.
job. Okay, so then when I sold pharmaceuticals, we would back in the day, they would celebrate your sales, and so they would have parties for like they do in like the music business for record sales and stuff like that. So I sat in on some of these meetings for these parties, and I thought, well, this I've got to do this. I cannot. Could care less to ever go talk to another Christie at a at a what's it called
At an
dialysis
orthopedics
clinic.
office.
At a dialysis clinic. I
Dialysis
will
clinic.
never talk to another receptionist again because they always just push their pharmaceutical reps to another chair, and it's always it's always the secretary that's all. And I was best friends with them. I loved all of them. I was more fascinated by them. I knew about their love life, and they had the magnetic pictures of their kids all over their desk. I knew every detail. Everybody had a Colton. Everybody had a
Ever,
Colton and a
Yeah.
Riley Ray.
they loved O'Reilly. That was a
A Riley
season.
Ray. It was a season. And then so I said, honestly, I want to do the parties. I really like the parties. So so I got in on that for a bit. And then actually my sister just got married and hired a planner, and that's how it all began. And then I partnered and became business partners with her planner. I like shadowed them because I wasn't allowed to speak during my sister's wedding. Our dining room was like wedding central. And this is so long ago that the weddings were even different, way different back then. And so I shadowed that planner, and then we started a business together, and then she got married and moved on, and then I continued doing it, and that's really what happened. And I just kept chugging along, and then I got this fabulous business partner out of the blue who was a legend in the music business. She's a legendary manager, music business manager, and she managed everybody in the world. And her office called me, and I'll never forget. I know exactly where I was. I was at a gas station. I know exactly where I was, and that's kind of one of those moments in your life where that's everything changed, because I didn't really know. I was telling people I was doing weddings, but I had only done one, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I didn't know. And somebody had just tipped her off, and she remembered me from high school. I went to high school with her kids, and her assistant called me and said, Anita Hogan wants a meeting with you. And I said, well, in my mind, I think, I guess I put that out there in the ether and said to myself, I said, well, I've broken into the music industry, which I hadn't at all. I hadn't at all. And I met with her, and she's this fabulous blonde. She met me at this restaurant that's no longer even in Nashville anymore. And she met me there, and she had on all turquoise, like Southwestern turquoise and leather. And she sat down, and I thought, and she was friends with Bette Midler, and so I was a diehard fan. Always have been a diehard fan. So that's all I cared about. And I was like, "Have you talked to Bette? And what's Bette doing? And where is Bette today?" And anyway, so
I'm
I
a
didn't even hear
diehard
what she
Pet
said.
fan
And she
too.
said, if one more person tells me to go into business with you or manage you or whatever, because I've known you my whole life and I've always known you were a star. That's how she talks.
I
And
love.
so, and she hadn't seen me in several years. But anyway, all that being said, she invested in me and we started the company. And she said, if I can get Waylon Jennings through Europe, I can get a bride down the aisle. And so that's how it all began. And the rest is history. And then my current business partner, Kate Steele, bought Anita out several years, decade ago or so. And
Would you please, in Anita's honor, Anita's
yes.
still with us, yes?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's the best.
Okay. You need to get cross-stitch throw pillows made on your merch that said, if I can get Waylon Jennings through Europe, I can get a bride down the
Right
aisle.
down the aisle. Down the
Aisle,
aisle.
down the aisle. You 1000% need to be selling that as a darling cross-stitch piece of
Isn't that
merch.
great?
That is so dang funny.
Yeah, and so she was unbelievable, and she comes to all the she comes as many shows as she can. She married her high school sweetheart, and they travel around the world, and so I don't see her
Well,
as much. But
I have to ask you, have you ever met Bet?
no, never.
Oh, she needs to do you a solid there.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. Don't you think? So
I mean, it's
her
time.
husband was her husband that passed away was a big songwriter, and he wrote "I Believe in You," which is a big Don Williams hit,
Mm-hmm.
and Bet
Yep.
covered it, and that's how they all became friendly.
Oh,
And I remember that when I was in high school because someone had, I can't remember how I figured that out, but you figure those things out. And I
Oh, yeah.
figured that out, and I could barely look at Anita. When I was, 13, 14, 15, I would be like, I could not even look. I was so just starstruck and just could not even breathe.
I'm absolutely fascinated.
Isn't that fascinating? So
No.
then, yep. So then, our very first event, she and I, there was a movie called August Rush. And
yes, I loved August Rush.
it's about a little boy that's a conductor in music. Okay, so
Kerry Russell.
yeah,
Kerry Russell, that's right, yeah.
and isn't Richard Dreyfuss in it? Oh, that's Mr. Holland's Opus.
Mr.
Okay,
No,
Holland.
that's
so
Mr. Hans Obus. Kerry Russell, and that little boy, I can't remember.
I
He's
know, I'll
so
look it up
good.
while you
He was
keep
great, and
going.
I love Kerry
well, it's a
Russell.
bunch of big star. Robin Williams is in it. What am I talking about? Robin
Yes.
Williams is in it. Yeah. Okay, so our very first event, I was laying in my bed in my old apartment. I'll never forget this as long as I live, 24 years ago, laying in my bed, and I got a phone call from a LA movie director saying that they got my number from a country star who I grew up with their kids. A country star gave me their number, and that I plan all their events. I had done one in my life, and that I could do the Nashville premiere of August Rush. But it's a little bit of a different twist. It's going to be a drive-in movie theater. We need to create a drive-in movie
Oh,
theater.
how fun!
And so I came up with the idea to partner with Range Rover and do Range Rovers all for
Or
people to
what you
sit
got
in.
in. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
what
what
you
you
got
that
in.
was
So I came up with that whole concept, and then I don't know how I still don't even know how they agreed to that. But I called and said, "Can we just have a bunch of Range
I need a
Rover?"
bunch. How
It
many? A
was
whole
literally
lot?
what I said. I had no idea. Anyway, I remember I would people that were in the event business, I would call them and say, "Who do you use for catering?" I mean, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. But I got this. I got this drive-in movie theater built. Okay, so the movie company said there's only one mobile camera projector in the world that handles this type of film that's mobile. Okay, and it's being used. It goes all over the country now. I'm sure there's 500 of them now, but this is back for 25 years ago. So they said there's only this one, and It's in Auburn, Alabama for some reason. So it was down there doing I don't know what somebody had rented it, whatever. So I had to go find that thing and get it to Nashville on a big truck, and then I ordered a mobile movie screen. A mobile movie screen. So let's just say we've all seen at least a photograph of a drive-in movie theater. So you
Yeah,
all imagine scaffolding and this great big
sure.
production. Well,
Yeah.
I was worried sick because the guy had not arrived with the screen, and it's about 10 a.m. at this point. So he says he's on his way. I'm checking constantly, constantly. I'm like 20 years old. I'm checking, constantly checking. Like I cannot get this guy. What? However, he's like, I'm having lunch. I go, what? You're having lunch? Like this is 2 hours later, and he just never acted upset. And I was like, you've got to build a screen the size of an Olympic stadium. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know why you're so upset. I was like, I'm upset because I have 7,000 Range Rovers and and Reba McEntire and everybody in the free world is coming and we have a screen. What are you talking about? Now it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay. He's still not there. And I'm like, where is it? And Anita's running around screaming. We've cussed everybody in the world. We've cussed chickens. They have chickens there. We've kicked things. We've kicked, I don't even know. We were kicking each other. We were just lost our minds. The man finally pulls in after a 7-hour lunch. It's calm. He was not upset, whatever. The screen was inflatable. And no one thought to tell me that it was an inflatable. So it took like a millisecond to install.
So they just literally blew the air and it stays blown up.
And it was enormous. And it was as big as it was the biggest thing. And it came on an 18-wheeler. So he's pulling in. I've got tears streaming down my face. All my bronzer just running down my face. I've got a full perm. I'm screaming. I look like Mrs. Roper from Three's Company, and I'm going, he's here with the big truck. We're never gonna get this. Is the word. Who in the world would want to do events? This is a nightmare. Awful, whatever. He's like, I don't know why you're so upset. I just need an outlet. And we're like, what? And Anita goes, the damn thing is inflatable. No one we were imagining like I thought a crew of 150 people were coming to build stages, and
Yeah.
it was.
It's like an arena rock show.
That's how stupid. That's how dumb I was. But I literally laid down in the grass and just thought, just take me now. And everybody to this day that was in part of that event thinks it's still the funniest. I mean, because you should have seen me. I was doing, and having to be secretive, not letting anybody know that I was so upset. Oh, we're fine. We don't have a screen. No screen.
We're doing great.
Who needs a screen? It's a movie. It's a movie premiere, but we're not going to watch it. We're just going to project it in the sky.
Well, one thing I hear, it doesn't matter whether it's event planning or what it is, just like comedy, you do it till you figure it out. You just you say yes and you figure it out later, and that's how you move forward. I think in anything.
Oh, 100%. And also, I've decided through the years, I don't really have that much competition, and we all kind of commiserate together and everything. And we've all decided that nobody wants to do it. We've all just decided nobody really wants to do it.
That's why I've cornered the market. Nobody else wants it.
Right.
But
Right.
don't you think? I think that's why I was asking you if there have been any that, meaning like, has there been any event for you instead of just going, no, I'm not doing that, where you've gone, that'll be
Oh
$3
yeah,
million.
or I did fire somebody. So I've had a situation. This is a total thing. They sent me. We talked and talked and talked and talked, and they were lovely-ish.
It was a client.
It was a client. Yep. And we hadn't been hired yet. We were just in discussions and telling me what this and all that. And then she sent me pictures of a wedding that she attended that I know all about, because in the event world, I speak at wedding conferences, and I'm friends with every planner, and I mean, not every planner, but lots of planners. We're all connected within because of a summit that we're all members
I've
of.
seen you put up your events at Summit.
Yes,
and
yes.
we'll discuss
And
that.
they're so fun, and it's great, and it's really a therapy session. But anyway, so we all know about each other's weddings, and we have all these hilarious stories, through the years. Well, she sent me pictures of this wedding that she was a guest at, and I knew who planned it and designed it. And it was the most over the top, insane wedding ever. And she complained about every detail of it. Crazy stuff you wouldn't even think to complain about. Like she would be like, I don't know, but for some reason we saw sky. Crazy. For some reason, I don't like the color of that flame of the candle. Crazy stuff. So I just said to her, and I was Christmas shopping. It was in November. It was going to be this coming October. It was a November call, or maybe it was the end of anyway. I was Christmas shopping. I remember, and I was just on my AirPods, and I just said, I don't think I'll ever be able to make you happy. And I said, if you don't like this wedding, and this wedding was like $13 million, I was like, I don't think you'll be happy. I don't think I can make you happy. And I said, I'm so tickled to have talked to you, but I've got to get in here to Pottery Barn. I've got a few things I've got to get accomplished for my Christmas shopping, and I just don't think we're going to be able to recover from this phone call. And I just thought, I cannot do an entire year with someone who sent me pictures of a wedding that was so perfect in every way. Like literally like out of a movie. It's in every and she bashed every single.
You saved yourself that headache.
I could not think of anything worse, but I will spy on that wedding and see what's happening. I'm kidding. No, I won't.
No, and I was going to see, and that gets
People
me
always
back.
ask me that. Do I drive by?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you, because the
If I remember, I might drive by, but I am friends with the new planner, so boy, did I dodge a bullet.
Well, and that's what a blessing.
Yeah.
Now you probably have a quicker BS meter to understand.
Yeah, and we have a behavioral clause now in our contracts. You wouldn't believe, because people are they talk terrible to you and stuff like that. I haven't had that, but we've sort of everybody as a union, we've all put that in our clauses, because in our contracts, a behavior clause, because people have been it's just crazy. And we're basically like all day long, we're just thinking about you, so is that not enough? Sometimes you're like, is that not enough? Gosh, all day long, but I have been blessed with unbelievable clients. I've only had, a few questionable ones, but people, that's all anybody wants to know. They don't care about the most beautiful wedding. They're like, tell us about that old man.
I want both though. Like I want both where
Yeah.
that's why I was saying, where somebody comes to you and goes, I want alpacas dressed like waiters in tuxedos with trays on their backs. Like people that just come with stuff that you're
Yes,
like, that
yes.
feels you're out to lunch. Like those
Or
things.
at Christmas this year, someone called and said, listen, I've got 6 reindeer, but I need 9. And I said, well, it's really just 8 tiny reindeer, if you recall. Well, Rudolph makes 9, I think. We had a whole conversation and wanted live, Live, live reindeer.
No.
She had, what'd I say? She had 6?
6.
Yeah.
She found 6.
She needed 3 more.
She needed 3 more?
She could just take a longhorn steer, dress that up.
I know. I've gotten that. I've had that happen. I've had people ask me I just can't even begin to tell you. I've had people ask me for the craziest stuff. We've had to get a wayward aunt. Let's just say we've got a wayward aunt that they don't want to come to the wedding. So they've asked us to book her a movie. We've reserved a movie and dinner with a friend, but we've handled it all to make sure that it's monitored. So they're driven like in a limo and make sure that aunt is far away from that wedding.
Oh,
And we send her to a dinner and a movie with a buddy, but we're doing that, like, they've hired us to do that. Can you imagine? What did she
I have
do?
so many questions.
What did she do?
What did she do? Was she aware the wedding's going on that she's not actively participating in? And did she
Yeah,
wonder?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's too odd that a limo would suddenly take you to a dinner and a movie.
Right.
for
I'm like, well,
something
did you
didn't-
select? Yeah, they pick her up. That we pick her up, and it's all. But they had to have somebody there that we knew, so that way we could monitor it, make sure she was really gone that long.
Yeah, did she think she won a sweepstakes?
Yeah. Hell no.
I don't know, but is
Was
that not
Ed
insane?
Was Ed McMahon there?
Right, with a big check,
With a big check. Congratulations.
with balloons. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she
Sorry, it's my
and then
dog.
we've had, and then we I have a bit that I laugh about on stage about weddings, I always talk about, we all have these guy friends that bring a plus one, and the plus one is always like just in a purple or red dress, wild as a buck, no panties on,
Yep. Yep.
just a toots,
Yep.
having a time and loving a gin and tonic and just throwing them back. And at the bar when she's not supposed to be, everybody can be seated for the quietest dinner, and she's still at the bar talking to the bartenders and rocking and rolling and doing the cha-cha slide alone, and on the dance floor or on the stage with the band. There's always this crazy plus one, and I get really tickled about plus ones because we never know. They're like they've been shot out of a cannon. They're like in like a leopard dress with a red shoe.
It's always a wild card, like they are
Yeah.
inappropriate and
Yeah.
don't know how to act.
Wild card.
It is. Sorry, y'all. I've got a dog back here acting like it's never been.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Like it's never been fed. No, y'all have
well,
to wait.
Karen loves that. We love a pup.
Well, yeah.
Karen was kissing a dog out back in an alley behind the comedy club the other
Right
night.
on brand. That's
Yeah.
our girl.
Yeah. And Trish went to the Bahamas and rescued one and took it to the vet and then found it at home in another country.
This
How sweet.
Karen and I are those people. Like who?
Yeah, we are.
Who goes on a like literally isolated island in the middle of the Bahamas on a private property and rescues a puppy after a tropical storm and then makes it the rest of my vacation? Me.
And you're not leaving till that baby had a home.
That's right. That's right.
And spent my last day of vacation taking a 1 hour car ride, a ferry ride
to get
to
it
go get
bedded.
shots. Everybody else was having a time. They were laying out, looking gorgeous in caftans, and I'm like, I've got to get to Dr. Bazel's in Spanish Wells. And I couldn't find a leash because it was the middle of nowhere. You would love this, Hugh. So I find this long scarf I had, and I'll find a picture, y'all, and I'll post it on our page. This poor little puppy, she's precious. She's 3 months old. I took her to the vet in this long scarf. Baby looked like Keith Richards because I didn't have a leash. And she's just wearing this like scarf like a baddie. And everybody's like, I love your leash. And I was like, I feel the shade. It's fine.
That's a scarf.
Yeah, the scarf. But now she's living in Toronto, Canada.
Oh.
Yes, her name is Luna because we found her on the lunar eclipse. It's a whole thing. So she's living her
Things
best
really
life.
worked out for Luna.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Luna is
was
so
blessed.
tickled.
Yeah.
She made her life right real quick.
Thanks to you.
Karen's the same way. We'll make out with dogs in back alleys. We know who we are. It's
Yeah,
fine.
that's right. But we won't go back there if it's a person.
Yeah.
And Karen, I'm tickled. I'm on Karen's show this weekend.
Yes,
I'm tickled.
I know.
I'm having FOMO. I'm not with you.
I know. You need to come and be with us
I may go
would.
early and go to space camp. I may go early and
in Huntsville.
yeah.
Let me tell you how much my brother went to space camp, and I never got to go. I know. And I got astronaut ice cream for my
That's what I
birthday that
want.
year.
That's what I want.
I used to love it. Neapolitan, I'd go sideways. Basically,
Yes.
basically a giant vanilla wafer
Yes.
is all it is. But in my mind, I was
Yes.
like, I've got astronaut ice cream.
Yeah.
And he bought it with his own money, because that was a big deal when we were little, your own money.
Yeah.
He bought enough astronaut ice cream because the expiration date wasn't for like a decade. That I got Mother Truckin' astronaut ice cream for the next 5 birthdays. I was like, oh, astronaut ice cream
Oh, that's
again.
right. Yeah. Okay.
He's like, well, I knew how much you liked it. I was like, oh, for the rest of my life.
It's very impressive though. And when I drove by there, I thought, oh my gosh, that
Oh.
is. I mean, I went there like in the '80s, but I just couldn't. It's nothing like it is now. Nothing's like it is now.
No.
Nothing. I wonder if
They-
little kids
it's
still
always
put
like,
a-
thank you to the Taft family.
yes,
There's always some wealthy family that's thank
the
you so much.
benefactor,
Yes, the Howells,
the Howells.
for this wing.
Always.
Thank God for those people. We wouldn't have a thing to do
Or we wouldn't have the arts. It'd just be
at all.
I'd just
Have
be
a thing to do.
nothing. We'd all just stare around.
You're
No
right.
one. What are these little children in the future? The influencers going to be benefactors of? Isn't that going to be funny to see? Like
Right.
what they'll consider an art? Some guy named Tad who's learned how to mix on his beatbox thing and like what's going to be the arts? Because everybody samples. Nobody makes real anything anymore.
No
I
one
know
re-
I'm
yeah.
generalizing.
You
Like,
are.
who's gonna
They're just
do
going to
that?
lay in bed and stare at the ceiling fan. Everybody's in bed. I could scroll the rest of my life. I could scroll. It's a problem.
It
It's a
is.
problem. It's a
No, I had to
problem.
set the limits on my phone. Have y'all done that? Like I set timers on Instagram. Like you can put
Oh, you
a limit.
can?
Oh, I had to. And this is the worst part, y'all. So I do the 2 hour timer for Instagram every
Mm-hmm.
day. So like cumulative hours on Instagram is 2 hours. I hit it every day and it'll say 15 more minutes. Do you want 5 more minutes, 15 more minutes,
Uh-huh.
or ignore for today? And I'm like, how have I already hit 2 hours?
I
And
blame
it'll be like,
Wordle. I blame Wordle. If there were more Wordles, I wouldn't be back
do
over
you,
scrolling.
Karen, do you do Wordle? Do you do the New York Times?
I don't do Wordle, but I need to start doing Wordle. I just heard
I do too.
Julie Louis Dreyfus and Carol Burnett talking about doing Wordle and how Carol feels like that keeps her young, and
Yeah.
Me
I need to
too.
start doing Wordle.
Me too. Karen, I'll
I do
send
it
it to
every
you today.
single day.
I do it
Yeah.
every day, Hugh. I'll start sending you because the other day I got it in
Hold on,
two
I'm going to show you.
words.
You're going to die. I got to show you something. You're going to die.
Did you already do today? Okay, I can't wait. So you can share, so it doesn't show what the word was, but it can.
Yeah.
You can see how fast somebody got the answers. Like how you get 5 tries.
Yeah.
I got it in two the other day, and Jace was so unimpressed with me, and I literally wanted to tell everybody, and I was like, no one cares. I had to call Butch's wife Nora to let her know, and she was like, I'm so proud of you because Nora does it every day.
I have got a journal of all the
Slide it over where we
Wordles
can't see. Go over.
oh,
Go over. There we go.
of every Wordle from
Wait, put it
2020.
back in the screen. It's going away. You have not done it for 5 years, Hugh.
Look at all the Wordle.
Oh my gosh.
All
And
the
how is
Wordle.
it how fast you've ever gotten it, or is it just the date and the answer?
Just a date and the answer, so I can go back and make sure the word, but which is so funny because you could probably just Google that. But look, I have every single.
But you have such good penmanship.
You
You
have
want to
such good
Yes, it'd be
penmanship.
rude not to.
It would be rude.
Well, it's thoughtless, really.
You
But
also
can you
need to
believe I
have
have kept a register of my Wordles?
yes, and you need the Hue register. This is the other thing I was about to say. You need to have a Hue registry. That should also be
Oh,
like
I've got a Hue registry. Yeah.
that you sell as merch.
Oh no, not as merch, but I have my own registry so people know what to buy me because I'm impossible to buy for. I'm told.
Well, that is true. I'd be terrified to have to purchase something for you. Like I'd actually get nauseous if you said, "Hey, I need," you're
No, just
invited.
I just spending time together. I don't really need anything.
What's your love language, Hugh?
Well, I do like to send a flower and I do like to send a gift. Gifts are kind of my
Gift.
love language, but because I nail it every time. But I don't know. I guess probably just dinner with friends is a love language to me. I like to just take people to dinner and stuff.
Quality
Go to a
time.
restaurant. Yeah, quality
You
time.
always pick good restaurants too. That's the thing I love about you. You're a good
Yes.
restaurant picker. Like you don't
And
just
I'm the
do.
world's best orderer too. You can ask all my friends. I know exactly what to order everywhere we go. I never have a bad order. People say I ordered wrong. What does that mean?
I've done it.
Karen does it. Karen literally gets in a ditch.
I do. Every time I have to order, I have this
Panic.
turmoil of this tug of war of what I should get and what I want to get.
Hugh, it kills me to go out to eat with Karen. It's one of my favorite things to watch because Karen, they'll come. Here's the little menu, and little Kay will go,
Ooh.
and I'm like, what is happening over there? And for years now, I just get tickled by it, so I can't wait for it to happen. I used to worry to death about her, and now I just watch the. I know I want nachos, but I'm gonna get the southwestern chicken salad with dressing on the side.
Yeah.
And
No
there's a lot of no,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Just
I
take
hate
the
it.
cheese
Just,
off.
just take the fun out of it.
Yeah,
Go
just-
ahead and bring it in. Yeah.
It's ruined.
I love it. We've already been on for an hour. That's how much fun Hugh is.
Hour, a little over, yeah.
Hugh, I'm going to
Ow.
leave you. Normally we do a big bunch of questions, but I'm just going to ask the
Yeah.
one question we always ask, which is, what do you know so far?
Oh gosh, I know that I'm headed in the right direction.
Boy, that's a good thing to know.
That's an
I just feel really good. I've been blessed in so many ways, and I don't have children, which is one blessing, and I just I don't have that kind of blessing is what I'm trying to say. So I'm blessed with great friends, and I know that I've got great friends, and I just feel like I'm headed in the right direction.
well, that doesn't get better than that. And will you come back on again with us? Because you're just so
I
fun.
will
We
come
could
on
talk for hours.
anytime.
We have loved having you.
You're the best.
Oh,
honey. Thank you for
love
being you.
y'all. Thank
We
y'all for
love
having
you.
me.
Oh,
Just,
thank you for
you're
taking
just
the
from
time.
heaven. Y'all, oh wait, Hugh, where can everybody find you on social media?
Hugh Howser on Instagram and Facebook. And then HughHowser.com for all the shows and what I'm up to and these podcasts and all my appearances and all that good stuff. That's easy, just at myname.com.
And
So
he has a residency at Zany's
Zany's
in
in
Nashville.
Yep.
So if you're in Nashville area or visiting Nashville, you need to
once a month,
be
y'all get over
sure
there
and
and
go
see.
see Hugh.
We love
And go
them.
see Karen and Trish wherever they are. Lord, y'all know that. Everybody knows that. And then Karen, I'll see you very soon. And then Trish, hopefully you'll be in Nashville.
I can't wait.
Eventually.
Anytime. Eventually. I'll be back very soon. I will.
Okay.
Love you, honey.
Love y'all.
Welcome to life, boy. I'm glad you're here.